Okay guys, as usual we'll start with the broadcast with Brian and then we'll do written and radio thereafter. So Brian, if you want to kick us off when you're ready please.
Chris, we can just kick off with the injury latest ahead of this big game. Who's in, who's out?
Bobby's struggling, which is a big blow for us. But we're hoping that we can get some last-minute decisions on that. Our usual injury list is out there, but I'm glad to say that most of the players that played on the weekend are fit enough to be involved against Liverpool.
What is the issue with Bobby? How do you rate his chances of playing against Liverpool?
I think at the moment we're in probably just against 60-40. He's had a lot of injuries over the course of his career, and I think sometimes you get to an age when they start catching up with you. But you wouldn't know that based on the fact that he showed a lot of grit and determination, and the way that he's tried to work hard towards the cause of keeping us up.
Picked up in training? Was it this week?
Bobby? No, Bobby's had a long-term injury that he's been playing with. He's had a few injuries that he's been playing with, and I'm very pleased that he's got himself out there to try and help us.
2 wins and a draw you've targeted. Where is that coming from when you look at your fixture list?
I don't know. I mean, ultimately, the games are difficult. We know that, and all games in the Premier League are difficult. We need to go out and play with the spirit that we have done in the last few games. And like I've always said, that the difference between the teams right at the top and the teams where we are is probably that little bit of quality at crucial times. We have to go out and try to be positive and try to get the wins that we need to stay up.
What's the mood been like around this trip?
The mood's been absolutely fantastic. They've trained very hard, the players, and they're still, if I'm being totally honest, they were quite a bit deflated at the beginning of the week because they thought they'd done enough to win the game at the weekend, and obviously we all know what situation we're in. But as far as the mood is around the place, it's been quite good. We've got people like Joey Barton, Clint Hill, Dunny, people like that are going around jollying people up, and a lot of the other players are going around making sure that nobody's chin's too low to the ground so that we can't perform how we'd want to. As far as the staff around the ground and around the training ground, everyone's of the same mindset. We do believe we can stay up. We know it's going to be a very difficult task, but everyone's up for it.
As annoying as the whole win was, obviously, this week, does that give you belief that Liverpool can be beaten?
Yeah, I think one of the great things about the Premier League is that there are no easy games, and whoever you're playing against, is going to give you a fight and a battle. Different to a lot of leagues around the world. So any team can beat any team at any given time. But obviously we know Liverpool have the quality and they have the resilience to bounce back, as they've been written off 2 or 3 times this season, and Brendan's done a fantastic job in bringing them back to the levels that warrant a team of Liverpool stature. But we believe we can beat anyone, on our day, and we're hoping that our day will be at the weekend.
How was your trip to Leicester? What did you learn last night at the King Power?
That they're going to be very difficult to play against in our last game at the end of the season, and that we're going to have to be on it right from the start to the end, because they have a great coaching staff there that won't accept anything other than effort and working hard to make sure that they stay in the league.
Nigel Pearson called a journalist an ostrich last night. Heard you on the radio talking about that this morning. Have you ever been tempted to call a journalist an ostrich or a pelican? Not
really. Please don't give me a reason to do that. But
I
No. I wasn't really aware of the gist of the conversation, because obviously I went with Les last night and we got home very late, and you know, I had to make sure I didn't have another sleepless night, so I went to bed as soon as I got in. And I got up this morning and I just caught the back end of it on Sky Sports this morning, so I don't know the gist of the conversation really.
What can you tell us about the pressure at this part of the season, down at the bottom, scrapping to stay in the league?
The pressure from my point of view or the club's point of view?
Any manager, like I said.
I think every manager will feel the pressure. I mean, you know, most of the pressure isn't about yourself. It's about the people around you. You want to do well for the people around you. You want to do well for the fans and the owners and everybody that's put their effort and time into making the clubs what they are. So that's where you feel the pressure from. It's generally that you're looking at how can you keep everybody in work. How can you keep the people that surround the club in work? And that's, well, from my point of view, that's how I see the pressure.
And just finally, any news on your long-term future here at the club? Any contract news?
Well, you know, when we spoke about it earlier in the year, when I took over, you know, we said we'd probably make a decision later on in the season, and that we haven't come to that time yet. And you know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not really thinking about that at the forefront. You know, the season's only got 3 or 4 weeks left, so I'm sure I'll find out soon enough what's going to happen. But as far as I'm concerned, we're just looking at trying to get ourselves above that line.
Just 4 points, obviously, behind Leicester.
Mm-hmm.
Andy asked about Nigel there. Do you think Nigel is feeling the heat, feeling the pressure?
I think all of us in that you know, lower part of the division are feeling it, you know, and I think until you're mathematically clear, I think there's going to be you're always going to be thinking, why didn't we get these points? Why didn't we get those points? You know, you know, who are you going to play against who and all that sort of stuff. So I think there is a certain amount of pressure for everybody, you know, not just Nigel.
And just on the playing front, so I ask you most weeks, but what's the latest regarding Charlie Austin, linked earlier this week, possibly with Bournemouth in the summer, given what they've done, what might be happening here at QPR? How's he been? What's the latest?
Charlie's been fine. He's been training fine. We haven't really spoke about him leaving the club at all. That, you know, I would hate to have that speculation hovering around with what we've got, the task we've got ahead. I'd hate to have that hovering around. But as far as you know, Charlie's concerned and we're concerned, Charlie's a QPR player at the moment, and he knows he has a duty to try his best to keep us in the division, and I'm sure he's going to go about that job in the professional manner that he has done all season.
Well,
is Rio Ferdinand anywhere close to fitness?
Rio's got he's training, but off and on at the moment. He's still, you know, has had some injuries that haven't cleared up to the point that he could go out and do himself justice. At the moment, fingers crossed, he'll be in the squad at the weekend. As long as he's fit, he'll be considered.
And is it Bobby's hip the long-standing problem?
Bobby.
Is it his hip that's his long-standing problem, is it?
Bobby.
Yeah.
Bobby's got a bad hip, but he's got a bad few things. You know, he's a man that has taken a lot of bumps and bruises. As you can see, he's the one that's always in the battle. So, you know, it could be anything from ankle to hip to shoulder. But you know, whatever happens, he always, you know, comes back and plays. So I'm sure that he'll be featuring before the end of the season.
He's had a right good crack at it since you've come in. He was probably playing as much as he'd like to before you arrived, and he's probably the one striker that you'd love to go up against, that Liverpool back three that sometimes is accused of not being able to handle the physical threat that he's so good at posing. Yeah,
I mean, we would really love to have him fit, but the good news is that we got Leroy's fit, so Leroy's in contention for a start. Whatever happens, I can see both players featuring at some point during that game.
okay, any more broadcasts? No? Okay, if you want to turn the cameras off and put your seats to the front, please.